Happy New Year and welcome to the news here on Zodiac. This evening you're with me, Robert Karua. Let's have a look at our top stories. Mr. Malawi wants government to do more in promotion of media freedom. MRA offices at Bidiwidi border post in Cheu closed as employees test positive for COVID-19. Criminal case for ex-DPP governor for the North Mzomera Ngwira dragging due to the suspect's ill healthy. In sports, Football Players Association demands regular COVID-19 tests for players. Now the news in detail. As the year 2021 starts, the Media Institute of Southern Africa MISA Malawi chapter has asked the Tonse government to hold to the campaign promises of promoting media freedom. MISA Malawi chapter chairperson Teresa Ndanga told us in an interview that it is sad to note that journalists continue to face political intimidation in 2020, hence the call. Ndanga explains.
In the 6 months, we think that there have been instances where journalists have been threatened. We expected a different approach. We expected a freer environment. We expected them to respect freedom of the press. But unfortunately, there are some sections, especially some supporters, who have been attacking journalists because of the stories they deem to be critical of the Tonse Alliance administration. We have also had cabinet ministers who, after publication of stories that they deem unfavorable to the administration, have been calling reporters and journalists to threaten them. Maybe the idea is to complain about the nature of the story, but it ends up being some threats and intimidation, such that some reporters feel threatened to continue reporting on those specific issues.
Meanwhile, government spokesperson Gospel Kazako has assured the media that government will look into all grey areas mentioned to find lasting solutions.
We will certainly engage them and see. For example, if they are saying that certain ministers were threatening journalists, I think we'll be engaging media so that we can learn, so that we see how best we can sort out these issues, because certainly that is not acceptable. But we also need to have evidence of who was intimidated and so on and so forth. And we'll be doing these things just to make sure that we refine the meal of journalism, we refine the meal of relationship. We want to assure the media fraternity in this country that it is free, and this government will be the chief protector, chief defender of their rights as journalists, and that we are going to work in an environment that is free.
ATI was operationalized, but then gazetting the regulations has not taken place till today. May we know maybe what is happening from government's point of view?
It is abundantly unfortunate that today we'll have to be asked that question, because you remember very well that as government, immediately we gazetted the ATI law. We also came up with the regulations. These were regulations that were done in consultations with so many stakeholders. At the moment, I can assure you that very shortly we will be gazetting the regulations. This time we will just go ahead because we did now the consultations. You heard the consultations that we had some 2-3 months ago, where all stakeholders were invited so that they make their input. But it's unfortunate, as I said, because we could have been somewhere by now, but we were delayed.
And on the first day of the new year 2021, we went out to talk to people on the streets of the review of the year 2020 and aspirations going into 2021. Our reporters, Aunyango Nkoma Indoa and Adam Zundaning and Karonga, got these views from the streets.
It was a mixed bag, in that not extremely good, neither not extremely bad, but probably at the middle. Since I'm a moderating philosopher, I always take everything and believe in the middle of things. It was good in that for the first time we saw that what Malawians wanted counted in the end. After the 2019 elections, there were demonstrations all over. but the costs were on the side of Malawians. In the end, electoral justice was delivered, which gave happiness to the people. But on the other hand, there are also challenges. The challenges are not of this government. They are challenges emanating from 1994. So they are hard to resolve now, but it is to do with the living standards of people. They are poor. No job opportunities. If they are available only to a few elites, poverty is worsening. You look at employment, also not available, as I have already stated. So there are lots of problems, but we believe that these problems, it is the duty of this Saulos government to resolve them. But not now, but slowly they can.
Good as well as bad year. It was good in terms of political situations, because the government has changed from previous government to the new one, which we expected, and it was a bad year because of COVID-19, which has caused a lot of activities to decline.
Meanwhile, President Lazarus Chakwera has pardoned 787 prisoners across the country as part of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. Minister of Homeland Security Richard Chimwendo confirmed the development to us, adding this will help decongesting prison cells amid COVID-19 pandemic. The Malawi Revenue Authority MRA has closed its offices at Biliwili border post in Ncheu after one of its employees tested positive for COVID-19. Our sources at the border post say all MRA workers have been quarantined. MRA spokesperson Stephen Kaboloma asked for more time before commenting on this matter.
Zodiak has established that the country's tax collecting body, Malawi Revenue Authority MRA, has been forced to close its Biliwili border post in Ncheu after one of its employees there tested positive for coronavirus. Our sources at the border post say the employee was diagnosed with the virus early this week. Meanwhile, all MRA employees at the border post are self-isolating amid fears that more may have contracted the virus. The workers have since asked authorities to disinfect all buildings besides testing all people working at the entry point to contain the spread of the pandemic. MRA spokesperson Stephen Kapoloma asked for more time before commenting on the matter. The MRA Biliwili border post in Ncheu has at least 5 employees.
Meanwhile, it is emerging that some people could be using fake COVID-19 certificates to be allowed to travel in and out of the country. This follows the arrest of 2 Malawians and 2 Nigerians. The arrest of the 4 at Kamuzu International Airport in Lilongwe follows a discovery that one Nigerian tried to fly out of Lilongwe en route to Italy using a fake COVID-19 certificate. We spoke to Airport Police spokesperson, Sub-Inspector Supuleni Chitonde.
As the police at the Kamuzu International Airport, the police here in Lilongwe can confirm that 4 men have been arrested in connection with the forgery, uttering and making false documents. Yeah, so meanwhile, they have been given police bail, and they shall appear before court on 4th January after we've concluded our investigations. So it is true. 4 men were arrested at the Kamuzu International Airport. These suspects have been identified as Osazi Iobo, a Nigerian by nationality, holding an Italian passport number MGOO 43666. And the second is Evaristas GK Olina, a Nigerian businessman, holding passport number A090 5257. And the third one is a medical assistant at the district hospital, who is known as the Malawi Van. And the fourth one is the health surveillance assistant, known as the Patrick Kachala, both from Baila District Hospital here in Lilongwe.
Police in Mzimba have arrested a 36-year-old man for alleged possession of human tissue at Andrea village in the area of Inkos, Mbelwa. Mzimba Police Deputy Spokesperson, Sub-Inspector John Nyirongo, has identified the man as Moses Piri of the same village. He was allegedly found in possession of private parts of a woman. Nyirongo said police suspect Piri tampered with the graveyard of a woman who was recently murdered by her husband in the area. Scores of employees at Nice Trust will lose their jobs as the institution is laying off workers owing to the challenge of low funding. Sources have confided in us that the trust is also contemplating on reducing its district offices from 29 to 14. Trust Executive Director Olin Mwalwunju has communicated the development to all officers of the institution through 2 internal memos we have seen. Steve Zimba reports.
Nice Public Trust has 29 districts, 3 regional offices and its main headquarters in Malawi's capital, Lilongwe. For example, in every district, there are about 4 employees. These are District Civic Education Officer, his or her assistant, office assistant, and a guard. This means in 29 districts the trust is operating in, there are about 116 employees. These excludes those in regional offices and employees stationed at its main headquarters. A leaked internal memo signed by Chief Executive Officer for the Trust, Olin Marunju, on 18th December 2020 says Board of Trustees for the institution has recommended laying off some employees due to low levels of funding. According to another letter dated 27th December 2020 from the Board of Trustees but signed by Mr. Marunju, the Trust has extended 1 month to its staff to allow smooth implementation of the restructuring process. The institution, which started as National Initiative for Civic Education NICE, was established in 1999 to deepen democracy and good governance through provision of civic and voter education, among other goals. For Zodiak, this is Steve Zimbad reporting.
You're watching the news on Zodiac. We've got more shortly.
Precious things have a secret formula. While John is busy trying to impress, James discovers Tangu's secret. Tangu uses Purity sanitary products from Purity body wash, Purity hands wash, Purity body lotion to Purity dishwash. After a week of using Purity sanitary products, James won the heart of Tangu. Use Purity sanitary products.
Welcome back in this edition of news, and here with me, Robert Kalua. Let's have a look at the headlines. Miss Malawi wants government to do more in promotion of media freedom. MRA offices at Biwiri border post in Ncheu closed as employees test positive for COVID-19. Criminal case for ex-DPP governor for the North Mzomela Ngwira dragging due to the suspect's ill healthy. And in sports, Football Players Association demands regular COVID-19 test for players. Moving on with the news, the Mzuzu Resident Magistrate Court is yet to set date to continue hearing a case in which former Democratic Progressive Party Regional Governor for the North, Christopher Mzomela Ngwira, and 3 others are being accused of causing violence in 2016. High Court Registrar Gladys Gondwe says the delay is due to Ngwira's ill health. Mzomela Ngwira, who is currently serving a 4-year jail term for abuse of office, has been in hospital twice after being convicted last year. Angela Mkandawire with the details.
Mzomela Ngwira was implicated in a violence case that took place at a political rally in Chiwavi in 2016 alongside 3 others. The suspects are alleged to have attacked a solidarity rally for opposition political parties in 2016, presided over by President Lazarus Chakwera, representing MCP, Enoch Chihana, representing Alliance for Democracy, AFOD, and Kamlepo Kalua, who was then Vice President for People's Party. Mzomera Ngwira and his co-accused pleaded not guilty to the charges in a case where state is still parading witnesses. However, hearing for the case failed to proceed at a date that was set for October and later also in November following Ngwira's ill health. High Court Registrar Gladys Gondwe says the last adjournment of the case was sought by the state on account of the suspect's ill health. Gondwe, however, says the case is likely to proceed this month for state to continue parading remaining witnesses. Sources private to Zodiak say Ngwira, who has been hospitalized twice from the time of his conviction, has since been discharged from Zuzu Central Hospital and serving his sentence at Mzimba Prison. For Zodiac, this is Angela Mkandawire.
Months after the announcement of the Zikomo Presidential Awards for Health Workers by President Lazarus Chakwera, State House has acknowledged delay in issuing the awards to outstanding performers. The awards were meant to motivate personnel in delivering quality health services to people in public health facilities. State House Press Secretary Brian Banda says the Health Ministry is still working on modalities of the awards, a process which is expected to be finalized this month. Toera Kumwenda reports.
On 1st of August, President Lazarus Chakwera announced the Zikomo Presidential Awards as a way of recognizing the role health workers are doing in this country amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. The decision by the president attracted mixed reactions, as others debated that while the decision was a commendable idea, awarding only 5 health workers in the country is a mockery, considering that there are a lot of health workers in the country all sacrificing to save lives. However, months after the announcement, the awards are yet to commence. State House Press Secretary Brian Banda has acknowledged the delay, but was quick to say Office of the President and Cabinet is waiting for the Ministry of Health to finalize the technical aspect.
The Zikomo Awards being technical in nature, there is now the Ministry of Health that has set up a technical team that will look at the modalities on how the awards should be conducted.
Ministry of Health spokesperson Joshua Malango says the ministry will be done by January and is hopeful the OPC will approve it.
Our technical team is working on it, on the modalities to how we are going to identify the health workers and the which cadres. Surely by January, the ministry will have written the Office of the President to how the ministry thinks we can identify the awardees in different cadres.
The country has 5 referral hospitals, 28 district hospitals, and over 700 health centers, and 5 health workers countrywide will be awarded quarterly. For Zodiak in Mzuzu, I'm Toera Kumwenda.
We now move to sports. The Football Players Association has warned it will direct its members to suspend participation in the Top Flight League until authorities enforce the requirements for clubs to conduct COVID-19 tests for players. The association's executive secretary, Ernest Mangani Jr., says lives of players are threatened by negligence to have them regularly tested. Our Sambanda has the details.
The Football Players Association says it has learned with concern that a significant number of players and officials at reigning Super League champions Nyasa Big Bullets have been isolated after testing positive to COVID-19. The FPA says considering the fact that the team had played league games in the past 14 days, there is a possibility players from other clubs could also be at risk. Mangani says the recent development calls for serious intervention from authorities, more especially in enforcing clubs to have their players tested frequently.
We are under pressure from our members. Right now we've got 403 members who are playing in the Super League. Having noted that Big Bullets FC's players have been tested positive, our members are now scared. Why should we continue playing when we don't know the status of the opponent? So what we are simply asking authorities to do is to institute an emergency test to all players. We should have assurance that there are no COVID cases that are.
Meanwhile, a local football expert, George Kaudzamasina, has backed the Players Association's decision, saying the lapse in adherence to the preventive restrictions could compel government to suspend the games again.
They are putting the lives of the players on danger, even their immediate family members. Immediately, government has to come in. And with this, with the way Solom and Farm are behaving, government has to intervene and suspend the games.
Nyasa Big Bullets registered at least 13 COVID-19 cases, leading to the cancellation of what would have been the latest episode of the much-touted Blantyre Derby against their crosstown rivals Forward Wanderers.
Well, that's about what we had time for in this edition of the news. But before we go, another look at the headlines. Mr. Malawi wants government to do more in promotion of media freedom. MRA offices at Biliwili border post in Ncheu closed as employees test positive for COVID-19. Criminal case for ex-DPP governor for the North Mzomela Ngwila dragging due to the suspect's ill health. And in sports, Players Association demand regular COVID-19 test for players. Log on to our website, zodiacmalawi.com, for more news. This is Robert Kalua wishing you a prosperous new year. Remember to watch your distance, wear your mask, and wash your hands with soap frequently to help contain the spread of COVID-19.